Well, the NFL draft is coming up, and
I'm really happy for you. I'm gonna let you finish.
Who the fuck is that guy?
Look at the show. I'm the captain.
Welcome to the fucking show.
Fuck Scott.
Now, Reid, let's just wait a second. You got the NFL draft coming up. We are currently NFL draft week. Let me take this over really quick.
Oh, wow. I got thrown off of my own show again, and look, the background's already there. Holy shit. Okay,
Yep,
that's all yours. That's
right. Hello, everyone, and welcome to another episode of College Shame Day presented by the 323. We are back after our little bit of a hiatus because, after bowl season's done, there's really not much going on. Spring games are now in full swing. There's some really great storylines coming out of camp right now. But like I said, it is NFL draft week. We are still joined here by Reid Murphy himself. Hello, Reid. And I think
howdy,
making his debut on College Shame Day is Big Chief Burrito himself, Luis Martinez. How are you doing, Luis?
I'm good, man. Thank you. I love that intro. It's a pleasure to be on your show.
Oh, you're welcome. But yeah, we've got a jam-packed show for everyone today. Everything from, new NCAA rules, technology, to some major updates to the transfer portal. And then it wouldn't be NFL draft week unless we talked about some of the prospects that are coming out, some of the big names, some potential mock draft predictions that have now been ironed out with us being a couple days away. Reid, you have your mock draft ready and raring to go, don't you?
I do. I have the first 15 picks laid out here because, like we've brought up before, you can watch us live. A fantastic 323 network crossover. Me, you, Scott, will be hosting this thing right at 8 o'clock as the draft starts. Might even be on a few minutes early if you want to come prep with us. But yeah, we're going to be going through pick 15 or 10 p.m., whatever comes first. We'll see where pick 15 is starting to line up in there. And so I've got my mock draft ready to go for that. We'll see also what friends might pop up. I've been in contact with quite a few friends of the show to see who might be appearing during this draft to represent their teams.
Listen, as long as someone's shirt comes off like they did last year, then it's all good.
That was a 10 to 11 o'clock thing, so I'm not sure, but I have been working out, so we'll see.
I might be, I don't know, like how long do these picks usually take? Like 20 minutes?
I thought it was like a 10, I thought they had like 5 minutes on the clock. And then last year we were still going strong at 11:30. So I don't know.
Well, see, that's what's even more crazy because we actually did host a mock draft episode a couple weeks ago when the Super Bowl had just ended. And we knocked that out in an hour and a half?
Yeah, something close to that. Yeah.
Right. It just a quarter of the time it takes the actual NFL to do it. So maybe they need to put us in charge of the NFL draft. But hey, before we get into that, a couple housekeeping items from some big things that have happened over the last couple days. Like I said, first up, big changes coming in college football with the NCAA's latest rules update. Teams can now use helmet communications for one player on the field, which is going to be a game changer. This is all stemming from, the cheating allegations from Michigan and all the fallout that's been going on there, and it's about damn time. It's going to work the same way, guys. The same thing in the NFL where you see the green dot in the helmet, communicating that way. Do you feel that this is going to be a huge shift in dynamics as far as the field goes and be able to get these plays out quick?
I think it'll certainly help. It'll certainly help a lot of, especially these younger quarterbacks. And you will get a little bit more efficiency. It's still wild to me that this hasn't been a thing. You see high schoolers have the communication with the helmet. So it's wild to me that this is just now happening. But yeah, I think there will be a little more efficiency and a little more comfortability for these players.
What's the first team that gets caught cheating and adding extra helmets?
Miami.
It would have been Michigan if it wasn't for hard.
Miami, Michigan, or I'm going to say what's the Jersey school, Rutgers?
Oh, Rutgers. It's going to be some insignificant school. It's going to be I don't know. Who's a team that really wants to? It's going to be like Penn State trying to get some kind of edge out there because they can't do anything else to compete in the Big Ten, but I digress. But it's also not just the in-helmet communications, but they're actually going to be able to use tablets on the sidelines are now permitted, though restricted to viewing game footage only. I think that's going to be another thing that's going to help as far as a strategic standpoint goes for game playing. And they're actually also going to be implementing the NFL's 2-minute warning. I think that's going to play a huge role into how these teams are now going to be able to strategize going into halves in the end of the game.
That's an extra money move. We need one more time. We need one more lifetime out for a long commercial.
That's 100% true.
That's a money motivated rule right there.
Oh, well, speak about money motivation. Arizona State sanctions have now been laid down. They're looking at a 4-year probation and a host of other penalties stemming from activities during COVID-19 dead period when their former head coach Herm Edwards was at the helm, who is now out of the program. As well as their defensive coordinator, Antonio Pierce, who's now the head coach of the Las Vegas Raiders. Do you feel that those penalties fit the violations? Either one of you, 4 years probation for kind of the recruiting violations they were doing during COVID-19? Or is that like a little bit too much?
I think it's funny to me just that this happens after the guys who its fault it was are out of there and they don't have to take on the punishment. You're going to be punishing the kids and, coaches that are now going to be there who had nothing to do with it, probably, more than likely. And I just find that a little shitty.
I mean, it's Arizona State. I mean, are they really going to be competing? I mean, someone asked me if, like, what this means for Arizona State's football program in the near future. And I mean, yeah, it's going to hurt them from recruiting really solid kids, but we all see how the transfer portal has been going on. It's just been shaking up the last year or two. We'll get into that here in a second. But do you really think it's going to be really affecting them that detrimental in the near future? Or do you think they can bide their time through the next 4 years?
I mean, I think 4 years is a low enough amount of time to, it's not going to kill anybody, and you're still going to be getting plenty of dudes and plenty of local dudes who need a place to go and need a good name school to go. They'll transfer out from there anyway, so maybe you can still show enough promise and enough progress and enough, good training that you can still keep recruiting good players for when that sanction is going to be off. So I don't think it's going to kill them at all. I don't think it's going to hurt them too badly.
Well, that's assuming that within the next 4 years, the NCAA doesn't expand to 64 teams, which,
with how rapidly everything's been moving over the last 2 or 3 seasons.
I think 32 is their end goal. So
right.
You're going to get to 32 within the next. What happens first? The sanctions are lifted or the NCAA expands the playoffs again?
Everybody's trying to steal your bracket, man.
Well, and I think the biggest thing that I was more worried about Arizona State was once these rulings got handed down, like I said, the 4-year probation, fines, vacated wins, scholarships being reduced, recruiting restrictions, is seeing who is going to leave the program to go and test the water somewhere else. And as of a couple of days ago, freshman quarterback who was their, hope for the future, Jayden Rashada, he is now in the transfer portal after a knee injury sidelined him for most of the season. Of course, there's a wider story with the NCAA legislation who now fast-tracked in allowing athletes to transfer multiple times and have immediate eligibility as long as they meet academic requirements. How might this change the landscape of college athletics now that people can just transfer and get immediate eligibility? Do you think we're going to see it even more ramped up?
Yeah, I would think so. I mean, just look at how insane it's already been the past couple of years. I mean, that seems to be the biggest issue right now, right, with NIL and with transfer portal, is just how unregulated it is, how Wild West it's kind of at right now. And it's great for these kids to have some power, and it's great for them to, not get stuck at one place and to be used and abused by one school that doesn't really give too much of a shit about them once they get hurt or something. But now, you can kind of see why some coaches are getting out of the game, why like a Nick Saban or, some of these college basketball coaches get out of the game, because you can't guarantee that this team that you've recruited, that this team that you've assembled, that has great power one year, is going to be at all recognizable the next, because anybody can just go at any particular point for any particular reason. They might even like the place. So I think it's going to be wild at first, but I think it's going to cause a lot of coaches and a lot of teams to kind of change up the strategy and to change up the scheme and how you keep some of these dudes with your team. And you're going to see large expansions of NIL money. You're going to see new types of donors come into these programs and get weaseled in and configure deals to be a part of the program and keep some of your players around. And with that will come more controversies and scandals in terms of where some of this money is coming from and, how it was used before it got to the kids. It's going to be a mess. I see a lot of mess coming out of it.
Here's my prediction, and here's the thing. Here's my first question, right? Do you believe, Scott, and you would know better than me, do you believe that there's enough talent in the transfer portal every year that if you just pull the team from that pool, you could win a championship or at least make the playoffs or postseason?
Oh, absolutely. I mean, I think that's a conversation we've had time and time again when we talked about other leagues like the NFL or the NBA. There's just so much parity in these leagues now, and these kids are getting brought up at such a high athletic level and especially if they were just a transfer, you can easily build a team around it.
So my thing is, who's going to be the first college, like you kind of alluded to it, Reid, that's going to do like a Manchester City or a We Are Wrexham, where there's a random school, and they have a billionaire fucking alumni, and he's like, I'm going to funnel all this NIL money. We got the corporation that's going to hire them for promotions, boom, boom, boom. And we're just going to take a little team that just happens to have somebody that loves it, and we're going to turn them into an overnight success. Like Man City got bought out, little nothing team, billionaire oil people now own it. So they, or We Are Wrexham moved up 2 divisions just because they got rich owners from the US pumping money, getting better players, stuff like that. Now that story ends with them making the Premier League. You know what I mean? And so who's going to do that for college sports?
I mean, my first one would have been, if he gets out of his own damn way, it would have been Colorado and Deion Sanders. But I think Deion just is all about Deion and what he wants to do all the time, that he's not going to try to take a backseat to anybody. He's like that Jerry Jones complex. Because that's another team you're seeing right now who's getting affected, right, with the huge waves of players exiting and, being able to attract those quality replacements. And it's really hard to maintain that consistency in that core group there in Colorado. Other than that, it's probably going to be, like you said, I know it's kind of a half joke, but one of these oil barons down in Texas, just like SMU or some random ass team.
Ooh, SMU is a good choice.
That's a good pull. I would have,
especially with them in the ACC right now,
or Oklahoma State or something.
Arkansas was a weird one. Arkansas is a school I don't think of much, right? And I don't think of them much until I saw John Calipari leave Kentucky to go to Arkansas because they got the chicken tender guy. The chicken tender guy is an alumni. He's the big Tyson's, tenders dude. He's got billions. He put all that money straight into getting Calipari there. I think you'll see a lot of, just like you said, those dudes coming in and infusing their money into these programs. But Colorado was my first mind, and I have a kind of modified question on what Luis asked, which is, could we start seeing more schools kind of go that Colorado route and hiring flashy coaches or big name coaches, somebody that can, and I don't know if there are many people who can pull off what Deion does in terms of promoting himself and the kind of revenue and promotion that he brings to Colorado, but like the level of commercials I see that have nothing to do with Colorado that are still hyping up different types of prime merch and Deion commercials and people just going to Colorado games to see him. And I know that he's bringing in players. I know that he's at least generating interest from players just because it's Deion and Coach Prime, and it's going to be a lot of camera opportunities. Could we start seeing more schools bring in, maybe Ed Reid gets another shot at trying to recruit stuff like this. Maybe they put in a shit ton of money to get Peyton Manning to be in some capacity at, a school. Could we start seeing that factor?
Oh, I definitely feel like that could be a factor here in the near future, because that was one of the things me and you had talked about a couple months ago, with how the transfer portal has been utilized, and how these old head coaches are starting to get out because, you can't entice a kid to come over and play for just you anymore. They want money. They want some kind of, fame along with it at the same time. And I mean, no one's going to compare to Dion, like you said, with self-promotion and, being able to work the camera and working an interview. Like, no one's going to compare to Dion. But you brought up a good one with Peyton Manning. If Peyton Manning were to go to like Tennessee, and Tennessee's always been that middle of the road SEC team who can kind of surprise you here and there. But if you bring in a lot of these big names, that's definitely going to attract kids to come over there, especially if they're fans. But that is it for now for news to know. And let's not waste any more time, you two knuckleheads, and get into the meat and potatoes that Reid likes to say. And that is this year's NFL draft. A couple big names to know, kind of from each position group. Some everyone's known about, some maybe not so much. Quarterbacks, Caleb Williams, Jayden Daniels, Drake Maye. I have nothing else to add with them. We've talked about them at length multiple times in the last couple of weeks. I'm good. Running back market's kind of thin, but I think that's okay, especially with how the NFL utilizes their running backs right now. Really, the biggest names out of that, it's Blake Corum out of Michigan and Jonathan Brooks out of Texas. You can make an argument with Trey Benson in Florida State. Maybe it's just my bias showing, but running back's a little thin. I don't see any kind of big splash there. Wide receivers this year is probably the deepest depth that I've seen in the last couple years, headlined by Marvin Harrison Jr., Malik Neighbors out of LSU, Rome Odunze out of Washington. Tight end is Brock Bowers and then nobody. Brock Bowers and then me, essentially. And then other than that, offensive line is riddled with talent at all 5 positions. Joe Alt, Amarius Mims, Graham Barton out of Duke, the Jackson Powers Johnson, which I think is probably the name of the draft, out of Oregon. Same thing with the other flip side of the ball with the defensive line. You got Byron Murphy II out of Texas, Jared Verse, Dallas Turner, and then some cornerback that I feel is probably going to be the best pick of the draft. That's Quinyon Mitchell out of Toledo. He's come out of nowhere. He had a really great showing at the combine. You watch his tape and he just seems like he's hitting on all marks there. Is there any specific prospect either one of you guys are keeping an eye on, as far as not so much just for your team, but just in general where they might land?
It's a lot with those receivers, I think, right? Like, I don't know where you're putting him, but it seems to me like the universal pick for the Arizona Cardinals at number 4 is Marvin Harrison Jr. From there, I'm really curious to see where these guys like Malik Neighbors and Rome Odunze especially, because I could see him, just a lot of things, especially with these quarterback needy teams, could cause him to drop a few picks lower than expected, and that would be super impactful depending on the team that he goes to or who could trade up to get this kind of top tier wide receiver there. But I am very curious about the quarterbacks. I'm very, obviously, like you said, Caleb Williams, Drake Maye, Jayden Daniels. We know plenty enough about them. And JJ McCarthy, to this degree, is now getting the hype of a top 5 pick or a top 10 pick. I don't know if I believe it yet.
There's always one. There's always one of those quarterbacks every year. That. Zach Wilson, him.
And it looks like Bo Nix and Michael Penix Jr. are starting to get some of that hype going into this too. And I'm just curious to see where those guys go, Penix and Nix, if they really could be first-round picks. I at first had them as like late first-round quarterbacks that you trade up for just to get that 5th-year option attached to them. But now this is starting to remind me a lot of the 2011 draft, where you had Jake Locker and Christian Ponder and I think it was Blaine Gabbert that year for the Jaguars, these guys who had really no business being that high in the first round. Maybe they could have been late first rounders, but they were like top 15 picks. And just because teams felt impatient and felt like they had to reach for these guys, I think it would suck for Knicks or Penix because now with the level of impatience in the NFL, teams are going to expect these guys to start in a year or two as opposed to the Jordan Love treatment where it's kind of rare to see that now with QBs getting years to sit and wait. But Jordan Love, I think it benefited him. Bo Nix, I think it would benefit. Michael Penix, I think it would benefit a little bit. Even JJ McCarthy to a degree, but a lot of these guys are going to get picked high, I believe, right now and suffer the consequences for it a little later.
Well, I plan to be much higher than those people on draft day because it's my birthday, coincidentally on draft day.
Hey.
But I am gonna try my hardest to jump on early or at least connect so you can get the live Jets fan reaction for pick 10. I'm gonna give you guys 2 bold predictions. Jayden Daniels ends up on the Raiders. I don't know if it's a trade up or if Washington's been doing smoke screens about him. They did that team meetup. I don't know how that sat over there in Washington, but everybody was kind of like, okay, that's a bold strategy. Let's see how it works for them. And then from what I'm seeing, it doesn't look like your boy was too happy that they met with all those quarterbacks at once.
Well, that's actually a great segue because I wanted to kind of get into each individual's team needs. I know all 3 of us had our individual discussions kind of offline about what we're hoping is going to happen for teams. Reid, what's going on in Washington right now?
I'm glad Luis brought that up because what I've seen and what I've been, and I wish I've been like Zoo, where Zoo has been purposely taking himself out of all the coverage right now. Because there is, to a degree, and I've seen it, and Bill Belichick said it last week on Pat McAfee's show, where a lot of these reports that you're going to get coming out of the draft and, any draft rumors and all that, what teams are thinking about doing, it's usually going to come from an agent or from a very low-level scout who's just trying to get their name to a reporter. You're not really actually going to start hearing credible reports of what might happen until about 2 to 4 hours before the draft begins. That said, a lot of these reports about Jayden Daniels and his unhappiness with that team meeting, that team outing to Topgolf with all the quarterbacks is coming from his agent himself. You can go follow his agent on Twitter or X and see all the different posts that he's liking, see the different things that he's reposting about how stupid that is, even things that he's saying himself about how kind of unprofessional it seems, how out of the blue, why would a team do this? This is something that the GM, Adam Peters, brought with him from San Francisco. San Francisco has apparently done this for years, where they get large groups of these prospects together to see how they kind of mingle, to see how they kind of mesh, and I would imagine if you're having a hard time trying to choose between Drake Maye and Jayden Daniels and maybe JJ McCarthy, let's try and find some red flags from this kind of thing. That seems like a red flag. This seems like a big red flag in terms of how his agent is acting, in terms of how the agent is speaking for the player. I would not be surprised if Jayden Daniels does not like this and was assuming that he was going to be the number 2 pick. His agent was out there saying that they were told that they would be the number 2 pick. Washington's insiders have said that that is not the case. They have not made a decision for months. Apparently that was news to Jayden Daniels' agent, and he might just be trying to pump up his status, maybe pump up a trade to get up there. But to me, it was just to flesh out red flags. I kind of liked the move. I was already nervous a little bit about Jayden Daniels. There was a lot of RG3 kind of comps for me, good and bad, that made me nervous and flared up a little bit of the PTSD from RG3. And I'm good to just stick with my gut now and say it's going to be Maye and go with Drake Maye there.
It's going to be Maye?
It's going to be Maye. And maybe they make a deal. I don't know. I've seen all types of things. It could go any type of way. I'm just waiting for draft day to come.
I got an offer for you. You like pizza pie? We'll send you 1,000 pizza pies and Zach Wilson for like a 7th rounder in 2026. I solve all your problems right there, Reid.
I've seen. Look, the deals that we've tried to
Wilson to
make.
the F1 McLaren.
Oh my God! See, that's where it goes. That's where it always happens. And I've seen these different deal offers. The Kyler Murray thing that made me almost to try to argue myself into wanting Kyler Murray as our quarterback. I've seen all these potential deals, and I'm just saying this from here on with deals.
No, I keep losing at deals, and I don't want to make a deal anymore.
I take the King Curtis approach with it. I don't want to make any deals. I just want to take the brick and then move on.
Right, and I'm interested to hear what Luis's take is going to be for the Jets, because I know, like, for me, on the outside looking in, with very little to no investment in that team whatsoever, it's like the biggest thing I feel is like offensive line, maybe get some secondary help as a safety. If Brock Bowers is sitting there, use another weapon, a tight end, a young tight end there. But with Aaron Rodgers' future kind of slowly closing at this point, what would you rather do at 10 with the Jets?
So O-line, wide receiver, I think O-line or weapon is where I would go. So they got Smith, they got the two dudes from the Raiders, Moses used to be the right tackle. And a lot of the line that played that was forced, I think they started like 96 linemen or something was the number. So a lot of the linemen that were forced to play last year for them got some experience. So the one school of thought is you're going to survive on the O-line. So Bowers or one of the top 3 receivers would be the pick. For me, I think, but the other like more practical, like I think this is an all-in year for the GM, right? This is an all-in year for me. If they don't win and go to the playoffs this year, they're going to get fired. So I think the correct pick is, even though we deepened that offensive line, if not Alt's not going to be there, but if some of the like the Islander boys, Falula,
Talise Fuagua from Oregon State,
and then another guy, Falula,
right? Troy. What is it? Fatino.
But I think the smart move is getting one of those big dudes that can play tackle and guard, and that really solidifies our O-line for a long time, because we only got 1-year contracts on the left tackle and whatnot. I'm curious to hear like how you have the top 3 ranked: Harrison, Neighbors, and Adunze.
Ooh.
Do you have them in like the standard order, like Marvin Harrison number 1, or how do you rate them?
No, I have Adunze 1, Neighbors, and Harrison.
So my thing is like, I'm thinking we either take the tackle or maybe move down and then take one of the other tackles at like 14, 15. Or I also think that I would move up for Adunze, because I think that would be an incredible 1-2 with him and Wilson. I am not a Bauer boy. I do not want Bowers at 10. Because I think that, I don't know. I think if we're gonna slide, because Mike Williams is coming off an ACL. They got Wilson, they got Alan Lazard. You know, in theory, if Mike Williams is healthy, him and Wilson would be awesome, and then Brees. But you got an old low line and old quarterback, so you're gonna have to pray for health. So if they don't get one of the stud O linemen, I would go with a move up to make sure you get Adunze or Neighbors. Because I think Marvin Harrison's. I also think, bold prediction number 2, the Colts might trade up to take Marvin Harrison if Arizona moves down. Because I've seen some mock trades, the Colts trading to 10 with the Jets to get Bowers, which I would love. But I'm like, if they're trading up to get Bowers, why wouldn't they want to fucking go get Marvin Harrison fucking Jr. Over there? So, you know, that's my take. But there's an outside guy that I think the Jets should consider. I've been hearing about this 2-way guy, plays nickel and slot receiver, and his name is Knoble. He's out of college. So if you guys, Knoble, he ran like a 4.7. He's like a 2-way player. I know 2-way players probably too soon to take in the first round, but like I think maybe if they still only have a 3rd round pick, Knoble might be there. I'll take him.
All I know is that you guys get the exciting draft this year because Reid, you're at 2. Luis, you guys are at 10. I'm all the way down at 26, and it's just like we're not even gonna be live seeing my pick. I might stay awake for that point, but like for me, like all those flashy names are going to be gone. I'm just hoping we get something to address the edge rush. Maybe Chop Robinson out of Penn State. Hopefully my boy Cooper DeJean out of Iowa. That would be a really good fit. Maybe he can be this generation's John Lynch because we already know he's going to get moved to safety. Me and Reid have already had that discussion. So. Oh boy,
well, look, you could actually maybe summon some of your old fan base on this one though, because you were a Patriots fan before. Now this is a new era, no Belichick or anything, but the Patriots do have a big pick at number 3. Like if you were a Patriots fan for one day, again, what would you want New England to do there at number 3? Because I have a couple of thoughts.
I would just go chalk and take Drake Maye.
Just take the quarterback,
just take the quarterback. They're going to take him. I mean, he's definitely a lot better than the previous UNC quarterback, Mitch Trubisky, to come out in the draft. So yeah, they just have nothing back there at quarterback right now. So it's like, you might as well just take a shot.
It could be third time's a charm there on quarterbacks, Mitch Trubisky and then Sam Howell.
Listen, the 7th round quarterback worked out pretty good. What about a 1st round Michigan quarterback again?
Oh God. Think JJ McCarthy at 3.
I mean, Brady did talk about how he's, potentially ready to come back in the middle of a season. Maybe he goes back to New England now that Bill is out of there.
Well, I mean, thankfully they got Jacoby Brissett to come back. I mean, at least he's been in that locker room. So at least you don't have to worry about that.
He knows where the parking lot is.
Been there. He knows how to get in.
One less email they have to send out to him.
He's probably still getting the email thread. He probably never got off that chain. But Reid, if you don't go Drake Maye, what would you do then at Patriots? Would you trade back and just try to get a stockpile picks a la the Chicago Bears last year?
It's what I've thought about with New England, just because, I mean, we saw in free agency just how hard it is to get anybody to come there now. Like, that is not a destination team anymore. There's no Brady, no Belichick. It's kind of unproven with Mayo, so it looked like it was a very hard time getting players to come there. They prioritized re-signing dudes that are already on the team and have been in the city and keeping them around. So I have just had the thought process, like, I know they need a quarterback, but you have Brissett there. You have Bailey Zappi sitting behind him, who's played a little bit. This year is not going to be fun in New England. I don't see them being a even potential, underdog killer of dreams team. I think it's going to be a bad year. So if you don't feel uber confident about one of those 3 guys, or whichever one is left when you get to number 3, trade back, get a haul of picks. They're one of these teams, Minnesota, Denver, Vegas, that are going to want to move up and get a quarterback, and will give you plenty. You could move back, still get another quarterback that might be on the same kind of tier, and more skill players that you very obviously need and need to start hitting on to bring this team back to glory.
Hey, check this out. Ooh, can I get conspiracy theorist on you for 2 seconds?
Always.
All right. Let's say Reid is correct and Washington takes, it's got to be Maye, right? Who's on the clock? The Patriots. Who used to play for the Patriots? Tom Brady. What's Tom Brady now? One of the owners of the Raiders. Who does he have on text? Robert Kraft. So if they're fucking right, if you guys take Maye, who's available at 3, can give him a bunch of draft picks, homie, and with the caveat, hey, if I come back, I'm coming back home. Trade down, let us get Jayden, and we'll give you some picks and a maybe Brady promise.
Ooh,
that would be crazy.
It's definitely storyline worthy. We always talk about how the NFL has these wild storylines each and every year. That would be a crazy storyline.
Pats move down, take a wide receiver. Brady comes back.
But we've already talked about a couple picks here with our teams and some speculation. I think now would be no better time than ever than to go through our very last mock draft before this upcoming Thursday. First pick on the draft for the draft is the Chicago Bears. Reid, who you got?
It's chalk there. It's Caleb Williams. It has to be Caleb.
Yeah, it's Caleb Williams. And Luis, I don't know if you have anything prepared, but by all means, if you have a name that you feel like would jump out off the screen.
No, I can just give a little comment on what you guys are doing. Yeah, like the only thing I would say about Caleb is that just like the red flags that were coming up with Jayden, he had a couple pre-draft where he was kind of acting a little funny. He was talking about maybe not wanting to go to Chicago, and he got his shit right, because you haven't heard a peep or nothing or no stories about him being to Gen Z or whatever, or Gen Alpha even, whatever. So
that's because he took his girlfriend to Tokyo.
Only shit I've heard
He's
is
not
about
even
how
right now.
Only shit I've heard is about how he apparently never wanted to come to Washington anyway. He didn't even like the team growing up.
Oh, well, shit. That's nice. Well, speaking about Washington, we got Washington Commanders at number 2. Reid, I have Jayden Daniels still going to Washington. Who do you got, Reid?
I am sticking with my original gut, and I am saying not only in terms of what I believe is going to happen, but what I want to happen, and that is Drake Maye from UNC.
Ooh.
That was my gut at first, and when I remember going through highlights and all that on YouTube and those long ass cuts of everything, Drake Maye is the one that I was really the most impressed by. I've watched a lot of Jayden Daniels this past year, and I still think that he's solid. I still think that there's great potential, but it's just something college. It's something collegey about him that I'm picking up too much that it's not going to translate well. I'm rooting for him, but Drake Maye, I have good feelings about.
So if they say Penix, what are you gonna? What are you breaking immediately in your house?
No, you know what? I'd break it if
Stream just cut.
Or if they say Marvin Harrison Jr., like what are you breaking in your house?
If it's Marvin Harris, you actually
got
named
2 wide receivers already. What are you doing?
I am mentally prepared for this night. Okay, I am fully prepared. If it's Marvin Harrison Jr., I'm happy. I was like, boom, that's a great receiver that we can pair up with Terry now. And he'd be great for Mariota. If it's Michael Penix, I like Michael Penix a lot.
Great for Mariota is opening up a fucking L&L barbecue in Tennessee and calling it a career. Because he can't. He's Uncle Rico at this point.
If it's JJ McCarthy, I'm breaking shit. Something close to me is getting thrown.
I fully expect a live stream to be cut short at that point.
Oh yeah, you'll have to be in charge. Yeah.
But if we went,
take your shirt off.
Oh, well, now I'm hoping that it happens.
Take your shirt off and chop it up. Take off whatever fucking Raiders, whatever jersey you got on.
Oh. Well, moving on to number 3, we got the Patriots on the board, and Reid, maybe this is where we're going to flip-flop again, but like I just stated a few moments ago, I had the Patriots taking Drake Maye.
Yeah, and again, we're flip-flopping here, but something I did really look at trade options. I looked at possibilities through it of what could be offered by certain teams to move up and what it would, benefit to New England. Ultimately, I have New England staying there, and they're going to take Jayden Daniels.
Hey. And Reid, I don't know if you worked up any trades in your mock 15, but I want to let you know that I did, because going into pick number 4, the Arizona Cardinals are on the clock. I mean, they were on the clock because we have a draft day trade with the New York Giants at number 4. And the Giants, they're getting a little scared with Daniel Jones. They know what's going on there. They want to make sure they're going to get, if not one of the top 3 quarterbacks, at least the top 4 quarterback, and JJ McCarthy at number 4.
Wow. That's a wild one. I do have trades in this mock. I don't have it at number 4. I'm sticking safe there and having Arizona take Marvin Harrison Jr. It's Marvin Harrison. It's obviously a safe chalk pick. But, and I mean, we can make arguments with, between Harrison, Malik Neighbors, and
Rome Odunze.
Yeah, Rome Odunze. But Harrison to me is just like the most pro-ready one. Like, he might not have the greatest of their careers, but he gives me such AJ Green vibes coming out, and Arizona needs a receiver really badly. They need a top-tier receiver really badly. The Giants trade up, though. That's an interesting one.
Well, that was my whole thought process. Arizona definitely needs a wide receiver, and there's 3, albeit home run wide receivers that are in this class right now. And I think with them trading back just 2 picks to the Giants, they're still hedging their bets at that point, at least landing one of the 3. If it's not Marvin Harrison, you're looking at Rome Odunze or Malik Neighbors. So you're still going to get something of value. Oh, and you're also getting picks on top of it from the Giants.
That would be the best possible option if it can be brought to them, because I don't believe that New York is going to do that right now to Daniel Jones, even though I think they should. I don't think that they're going to. If that option became available, I would 100% take it if I'm Arizona.
Absolutely. Moving on to number 5, we got the Los Angeles Chargers. Reid, if you remember from the way too early mock draft, I had the Chargers picking Brock Bowers, tight end out of Georgia. But because Arizona traded back, the Chargers are going to take their shot, and they're going to go after Marvin Harrison Jr. there in LA.
That wouldn't be a bad move whatsoever by them. They obviously need a receiver. They got rid of Keenan Allen. They got rid of Mike Williams. You got Quentin Johnson, I guess, and Josh Palmer holding it down. I still think they'll take a receiver at some point, but I would actually say for this draft as a whole, watch the Ravens Ozzie Newsome tree branch out and see what happens here, because you have a disciple of the Ravens front office as the GM now for the Chargers, Joe Horitz. And what do the Ravens love to do? And what does Ozzie Newsome love to do is trade down, get the best, most potential, whatever he can, and then get those picks and get those players later on in the draft. The Chargers have an opportunity to do that with a team that has a lot to give in Minnesota. So I actually have a trade here in the Vikings trading up to number 5, and they're going to take JJ McCarthy, quarterback out of Michigan.
Wow.
I do agree that the Chargers need a lot of shit, and even though they restructured contract and they got rid of a couple people, they're still in cap hell for the next couple of years.
Yeah.
So I do think the trade down, if they stay put, I think they take the O-line. But other than that, I think all probably would go there. But
yeah, the Chargers are a mess. I mean, I think off the top of my head, they need everything. I think they literally need everything except for quarterback at this point. Except for quarterback.
Right.
Oh, but moving on to pick number 6. This would have been the New York Giants pick, but like I stated, they swap picked with Arizona. So I have the Arizona Cardinals picking Rome Odunze here at number 6.
I have the Giants sticking at number 6. It'll still be a wide receiver. I have them taking Malik Neighbors from LSU. I could see them potentially looking at Joe Alt, though, because there's reports that they've already given up on their right tackle, Evan Neal.
Uh-oh. Well, speaking about Joe Alt, I think this is the other chalkiest of chalk picks here coming up at pick number 7 at Tennessee, and that's Joe Alt.
Consensus.
That's just... I don't know if I'm missing something, or if they're going to do something that's just completely out of left field. Maybe trade back, maybe pick somebody completely random, but that's their biggest need right now is on that offensive line.
He would fit so well in Tennessee too, and I've heard such great things about Alt as being one of the best prospects in the last decade at O-line.
Right. Pick number 8, we got the Atlanta Falcons on the clock. This is something that I haven't really changed my mind on either, and I got Dallas Turner, the edge rusher out of Alabama, going there to Atlanta.
That is a very safe one, and one that I really thought about, but I actually have another trade. Here at number 8, I have the Falcons trading out from pick 8 to the Las Vegas Raiders. I have the Raiders moving up to number 8 because I think things are going to get really messy on draft day. I think you have these quarterback needy teams, especially one that is a division rival that is right next to them in Denver. They're going to be duking it out to try and get one of these quarterbacks that they really believe in. I think Bo Nix's name is one to watch during this week, and one that's going to get thrown around a lot by agents by scouts that's going to be thrown up as that. I mean, Zach Wilson was kind of this way near the last week, right? Where all of a sudden him, Trey Lance, like these names start like drifting up the board that last few days going into the draft. I think Bo Nix is going to have that this week. I think the Raiders are going to go up and trade up to pick number 8 to take Bo Nix from Oregon.
Wow. I'm not buying the hype on Bo, but I guess Nick sells ticks. So, hey,
it's Bo time,
you know what you can do. It's Bo time, baby. Oh, man. Coming in at number 9, we got the Chicago Bears back on the clock, who, after their first overall pick, Caleb Williams. I don't know if Luis had read my mind or what was going on, but he mentioned something earlier on that I kind of am calling here. And I have the Chicago Bears trading their pick to the Indianapolis Colts, where the Indianapolis Colts are going to get a pick ahead of the Jets because they're scared the Jets are going to take Brock Bowers, and Indy's going to say, no, we're taking Brock Bowers.
That would be a big pick that would be a huge pick for Indy if they could do that. I have Chicago sticking it at pick 9, although it would make a lot of sense for them to trade down and continue to, get picks in. But I think that they're going to continue to learn from the mistakes that they have with Justin Fields and really build around their new quarterback in Caleb Williams. They already have Keenan Allen. They already have DJ Moore at wide receiver and Cole Kmet at tight end. I think they're going to add one more weapon in there just because he's there. Probably going to be graded very high. Brian V. Klein, host of the Source Pages podcast, BVK, long-suffering Bears fan, might pop up on Thursday. He would be very happy with this pick if it happens. I have the Bears taking Rome Odunze, wide receiver from Washington, at number 9.
So I think of your pick.
We'll see. Well, with that salute to service to Reid, now we're getting into pick number 10, and this is the New York Football Jets, Jets, Jets. And I want to see what Luis has to say about our picks, because I have the New York Jets picking J.C. Latham, tackle out of Alabama.
Hey.
I know the Jets just signed Tyron Smith, and they traded for Morgan Moses, but both of those gentlemen are 33 years old and coming off injuries. So if you're bringing in a tackle who's young, would you want them learning and being under the tutelage of anybody else at that point, aside from Morgan Moses or Tyron Smith?
No.
Yeah, honestly, I love that move. I hope they can make that move, like in a trade down scenario, like if there's more quarterbacks taken and somebody wants Bowers or something like that. But like if you told me right now, sign up for Latham to just be the 6th man off the bench because you know one of those tackles is going to miss time, then I would breathe easy that day. It would be like safe, like tuck you in at night, relaxed Jets pick. Absolutely.
Well, I'm here to disturb all that peace and those nice dreams, and I think this pick would be a good one for the Jets to trade down, and not trade down too far, but still be in contention to get a good O lineman there. But I can return the salute here, and I have the New York Jets really just plainly just sucking off for Aaron and taking Brock Bowers here at number 10.
The Bauer boys. I didn't put you on. I didn't think you'd be a Bauer boy, Reid.
I'm a Bauer boy. I'm a BBL. I'm a Brock Bowers lover.
Oh,
Like our GM said, man, like if you can guarantee me that Bowers is Kelsey, Laporta, you know what I'm saying? Somebody like that's going to come in and mash, then I would be okay with it because it's another weapon. I would still rather either trade up or get one of the top 3 because I think the other wide receiver that's in talk there, number 4, would be Washington. Is Brian Robinson or Brian Washington? Something like that. The wide receiver, I think, and or either his name Washington. Or, anyway, their 4th wide receiver would suck. So I'd say stay there, hope one of the big 3 receivers falls. If not, do what Scott did, which was take the safe pick, take a lineman or trade down and take one of the top 5 linemen 4 or 5 picks later. That would be dream scenario. Bowers is an all-in move, but like I don't know, hit or miss first round tight ends for me is like he could be Sam Laporta or he could be like Kyle Brady, who we took instead of friggin' Warren Sapp a long time ago. So
I mean, things are going to get weird with the Jets no matter what, right? Like, it always happens every year somewhere around draft time. That's going to get weird.
Yeah. And you'll get my reaction live, so.
Well, I can't look for, I can't wait for that.
I can't either.
Coming in at pick number 11, we got the Minnesota Vikings on the clock, and this is where Bo Nix comes off the board for me. He just gives me big Kirk Cousins vibes, so it just makes sense for Bo Nix to go here. I mean, the Vikings, they've already lost out on the other 4 quarterbacks, so you might as well take the best available and just grab your potential quarterback of the future.
And it's something they need. I mean, they can say whatever the hell they want about Sam Darnold. You don't want to roll into the season with Sam Darnold.
They need to build around Sam.
I mean,
build around him like a Lego.
You gotta make Justin Jefferson somewhat happy going into contract talks, so you got to get somebody a little better on there.
Right. Especially because, I mean, Nix, he has a great ability of finding targets at all 3 levels. He can move in and out the pocket pretty easily. He can direct an offense really well. You saw that at Oregon and how well that offense was ran there last season. So, like you said, if you're trying to entice Justin Jefferson to stay, you got to give him something more than Darnold.
So I had, obviously, the Vikings trading up with the Chargers. So the Chargers would be here at pick 11. A lot of the weapons that the Chargers would have loved to have had right there, and Odunze, Bowers, Neighbors, anybody like that, they are gone now. I have the Chargers and Horitz, who, coming from that Ozzie Newsome tree, can get some trade assets in there. I have them trading down again, and I have Detroit, the Detroit Lions, trading up to 11, actually. Don't ask me why. But I have them trading up to get a player who I've seen rising in the scout talks over the last couple of weeks leading up to this draft. I have them trading up for a defensive back who has been talked, and this is something that they've needed for a couple of years. They've started to get a little bit of improvements here in the offseason on their defensive backfield, but you can never have enough. They're going to trade up for a corner who could play safety, who some would say should play safety, who some would say needs to play safety. You have somebody who's going to be a nickel superstar here for them. I have the Detroit Lions trading up at 11 to take Cooper DeJean from Iowa.
Yeah! Get a
Sounds
victory
all
for the white boys.
It is all white, all white, all white.
Well, speaking about all white, you can't get any more white than going out to Denver, and the Denver Broncos are now up on the board at pick number 12, and kind of a similar situation. They're in quarterback purgatory. They got really nobody. Who they got right now as their starting quarterback, Reid or Luis? Does either one of you guys know?
Jarrett Stidham.
Jarrett Stidham? Denver? So yeah, you got Caleb off, you got Jayden Daniels gone, Drake May's gone, JJ McCarthy's gone, Bo Nix is gone. So really the only quarterbacks available are Michael Penix, Spencer Rattler, and just a whole bunch of crap underneath there. So I think a quarterback here, it's way too much of a stretch. Another area of need that I know that they have is going to be on that defensive front. So give me Leatu Latu out of UCLA, the edge rusher, going to Denver.
That's a good move. That's a good move. I actually have the same thought process here, right? Where Denver needs a quarterback, but it's a big stretch at 12. I don't have them taking another skill position player there. In fact, I have them edging the bet a little bit. Arizona has some extra picks here a little later on in the draft, pick 27 actually. I have Arizona trading up to pick 12 to try and get some help on the defensive backfield. They got some wide receiver help already earlier in there. Denver can also benefit by moving back, taking a quarterback later in that first round. I have Arizona coming up to pick 12 to take cornerback Quinyon Mitchell from Toledo.
I actually really like that pick. Like I said, I am very high on Quinyon Mitchell coming out of Toledo. I think he's going to be one of the best players that comes out of this draft. So I guess we'll have to pause and bring this clip up in 5 years to figure out what exactly happened with him. But no, I actually really like that. Like you said, they already addressed one area of need on the offense. I think addressing the defense and moving up a couple picks to solidify one of the top corners in the draft, if not the top corner in the draft, is probably a great move for Arizona. Coming in at 13, this is where I still have the Las Vegas Raiders still sitting. And I think this is where you finally see that third wide receiver domino fall. Malik Neighbors going to Vegas.
That's a steep drop for Neighbors.
See, that's good because then maybe they can trade Devontae to be his player result quarterback. Or if Minnesota fucks around too much, Reid with Sam Darnold, you could always trade Justin Jefferson. I'm saying. You could trade Justin Jefferson somewhere else.
And why not the Jets? I mean, if you're gonna go anywhere,
I could also see the Raiders trading up, like not in the first round, but I could see the Raiders trying to sneak back in there, like in the top of the second, to try to grab Michael Penix Jr. To compete with Gardner Minshew and Aiden O'Connell there in Vegas. But I think at this point, even them taking a quarterback, same situation with the Broncos. It's way too soon. If you can't trade back and find a suitor, you might as well take the best player off the board, and that would be Malik at that point.
All right, here's a question for you guys: who is the last man standing in the ESPN lounge? Who's the last person that got invited to the draft because they were presumptive first round? That's going to be who's sitting in the green room for the longest? Is it Penix? Is it Hicks? Who's a surprise last man up? That might sit there beginning of the round, comes out awkwardly at the start of day 2.
I'll throw out a very bold, hot prediction. And even though I have him getting drafted in this top 5 already, I could see if it's anybody, I could see it being JJ McCarthy. I could see him having been used as a lot of smokescreen going into this.
And I think Harbaugh's getting a lot of other organizations' ears talking him up with a lot of the other teams that need him. I mean, the only reason I had him going at 4 is because they had that random trade with the Cardinals. If that trade doesn't happen, then I see JJ just sitting for a long time.
Yeah. I know here at pick number 13, I had Vegas trading up, so Atlanta as at pick 13. They're going to stay here. They're going to get that defensive line and that edge help that they need. I have them taking Leatu Latu from UCLA.
I like it. Going into pick number 14, you got the New Orleans Saints, and I think this is going to be another very boring pick. I think there's a huge question mark as far as the future is concerned for Ryan Ramczyk, their interior lineman there in New Orleans. So give me Fuagua. Let me get me the tackle. Try to take over for Ramczyk. Yep, that's gonna be a very boring pick.
Yeah,
no flash, but all substance. He could be a guy who's gonna be playing for 10, 15 years.
For those that don't know, because obviously we all know, and we're experts on all this stuff, and we know everything. But for those that don't know, what's going on with Ryan Ramczyk?
He has some very serious knee issues going on right now, to say the least.
Well, I knew that, but for the people that didn't know that, I'm going to say I didn't know that.
I do not know that.
Well, I believe they're preparing for a very real possibility of him not even being able to play next season. It's just not responding the way they wanted it to be. It's unclear if what's going to happen. So I think you have to prepare yourself for him not to be there.
No matter what, I had them taking Fuaga before I even knew that, just because I know that there have been some concerns already about Trevor Penning, their left tackle, and how he's matching up, how he's doing there. He's strong. He's, kind of Garrett Bowles-y in terms of his excitement and motor, but I could see them wanting to move him more to guard and fitting a little better at a guard position than how he's doing right now at left tackle and getting Fuaga in there. But if that is the case with Ramczyk too, double protected.
Absolutely. And then rounding out the last pick of this final mock draft, pick number 15. This is where that last trade happened, where I had Chicago and Indianapolis swapping picks. So the Chicago Bears are back on the board, and this is going to be another chalk pick that I've had them at. It's just going to happen a little bit later than originally thought. They're going to take Jared Verse, edge rusher out of Florida State.
Move back and still get the edge. Nice.
Right. That's always what you want. That's what you want there. I have the Colts at pick 15 currently. They will stay at pick 15. They need some defensive back help. They need help on quite a few things, but they definitely need some help on defensive backfield. I have them taking Terrion Arnold from Alabama.
Ooh. Yeah, see, I still have him on the board, and before we close it out for this latest installment of College Shame Day, a couple of names that I have still left on the board going into the back half of the first round. You have Cooper DeJean still sitting here, Quinyon Mitchell still sitting here, Dearjon Newton, the D lineman out of Illinois, and Byron Murphy, also out of Texas. Those are huge guys that are going to come off and be disruptive players even in their first year. For the rest of the draft, what team do you think is going to be needing the biggest splash between the Seahawks now on the clock at 16 and the Chiefs at 32? If you could make one bold take from the rest of the draft, what do you think is going to happen? The hottest of hot takes.
Somebody's coming in, and it's honestly a big hot take, and maybe it's not too hot right now. It's a team that's not even on that board right now, and I have Washington. I have my Commanders trading back into the first round. They've got some really good second-round picks there. I have them making a splash and jumping back in, I would say, somewhere between 15 and 20 to try and get somebody like Troy Fontenot, the tackle from Washington, trying to get one of these, or Fashanu, Latham, one of these tackles that could be a starter that probably won't be there by the end of the first.
I like it. Luis, do you have any hot takes for me?
You mean hotter than the conspiracy between the Patriots and the Raiders?
No, that's the hottest take I think I've heard all day.
I was going to say, I think you pretty much burned down the draft.
My only question is, did you guys officially change the name to the Jonte Porter Memorial Betting Slip? Is that like solidified for a while? I mean, they got banned for life.
I mean, way to tip our hand.
he needs a job, so I kind of want to get him on the show.
Oh, he can do the expert analysis. He can do the picks for us.
Ooh, insider information.
Oh, folks, but that is a wrap for another episode of College Shame Day. Make sure to follow us on Instagram at 323 College Shame Day. And for Reid, where could individuals find you unless they wanted to come here?
They can find me, of course, at 323 Reid, 323 REID on all the social medias. And, of course, subscribe to the 323 Network on YouTube. Really want to be subscribed to that because, of course, draft night, we are going to be going live. We're going to be going live across YouTube. We're going to be live on Facebook. We're going to be live on Twitter/X. During that whole time, you can catch us in a variety of ways. You can catch us after, too, when that's posted in full there. I might be shirtless by pick 2. You don't know. We're crossing our fingers and, picking our toes. But subscribe to all those. Be there. Be with us. We're going to have plenty of friends of the show joining throughout. People are just going to be coming and going. So it's going to be a fun time. Subscribe there. We'll check you there.
I was about to say, thank you, Reid, for joining us. And, of course, you're going to have you being shirtless, and we could have the birthday boy himself being higher than a kite. Luis Martinez, he may or may not show up. Who knows what's going to happen? Luis, can you remind the folks at home where they can find you if they want to?
Yeah, absolutely. At Big Chief Burrito across all social media, X, Twitter, Instagram, Facebook, etc. And YouTube, 2 a.m. Burrito is our company, so youtube.com/2am Burrito, where we go live, sometimes talk. This is my sports outlet, so you can catch me talking sports on the 323 only, because on all my other platforms, we're just doing regular podcast stuff. So thank you for letting me on again.
Awesome. Thank you, Reid. Thank you, Luis. And thank you, everyone at home. And from all of us here at 323 Network, thanks for listening and tuning in. And we will see you next time here on College Shame Day.
Stay safe, everybody.
Peace out.
Or don't.
Or don't. Yeah, you don't have to.
Make good decisions.
Who am I to tell you?
Eat shit.